In a world that thrives on activities and success stories, I pushed myself relentlessly. I didn't want to be considered a lazy loser. I wanted to be recognized and respected. The fear of failing and not being accepted or ending up alone drove me early to work and late to bed each day. And for as long as hope was my companion, I learned to bear the constant weariness that became my life. I scoped out friends and relatives, some who weren't even as smart or hardworking as I was. Yet, they were effortlessly climbing the ladder of success and having so much fun while I was working myself to death and stuck at the bottom. Haunting thoughts of comparison left me dismayed. Everyone else seemed to be up there except me. I felt left behind. It didn't matter that some were looking up to me and admiring where I was. Every time I checked, comparison showed me lagging far behind. Getting ahead became an obsession. I cycled harder. I circled faster, but the sum of all my sweat dumped me in the neighborhood of disappointment and discouragement. All I did left me still far down there. How and when did I drop so low? I am not a poor or average performer. How did life tilt the scale so badly I was now at the bottom of the food chain? That continuous line of thought made misery my friend. One day, I kept reminding myself, I will make it. But before I realized it, days turned into months and years to decades. So focused on the future, I missed the present. So determined to make it big, I failed to enjoy the little milestones of my accomplishments. And so consumed by thoughts of escaping failure, I drove myself down the very lane I dreaded. I could never understand why the harder I worked, the farther my dreams, until at last it dawned. I'm never gonna be the man I dreamed of. Confirmation of the failure I worked so hard to escape was a crushing blow. I began to loathe myself. Why couldn't I do it when others were making it big? Something must be wrong with me. Thus, my eyes became attracted to all that was not so good about me, and I turned my own worst critic. The weight of the failure and rejection life served me turned overwhelming. I started learning the art of giving up. Something must be wrong with me, I concluded. Since something was wrong with me, I gave up on myself. If something was wrong with me, then something was definitely wrong with my dreams, so I gave up on them too. And if something is wrong with me and the dreams I have labored so hard to live for so long, then why hang on to hope for something that will never see reality? Thus, I justify the reason to give up on hope. Since hope is the fire within that warms the engine of our hearts to keep humming and running against all odds, I turned cold and spiraled downward. I didn't know who I was anymore, who I wanted to be or what I wanted to do. Stuck in the maze of hopelessness, living as the failure I tagged myself. Every step and every decision I took thereafter confirmed what I had accepted. I began to lose everything I had worked for, which I never really appreciated anyways. Yes, I couldn't appreciate what I had and where I was because I was so fixated on what I wanted and where I wanted to be. It wasn't until I lost them all and hit rock bottom that I looked up and saw how far I had fallen. Hitting the lowest point of my life opened my eyes to see all the benefits I had taken for granted. Losing everything taught me that everything in life depreciates when we don't appreciate them. All the boon I missed while lost in my desperate attempt to escape failure became privileges I couldn't afford at rock bottom. All the good I had and lost because I was blinded by my pursuit became apparent as conditions at rock bottom cleared the scales from my eyes. One day, I stumbled upon a picture of me from those days, looking good, confident and independent. At first, I cringed. Nobody who saw me that day would ever believe I was the one in that picture. It brought back memories that were too painful to face, and yet even more excruciating to avoid. So I decided to confront it. The me in the present resolved to face that blast from my past. And for once, something in me woke up and began to long for the man I used to be. Remind me to tell you the story of the man I used to be. But for today, I will give you the secrets to a successful life, which I didn't learn at the peak of my success. I learned the true meaning of success in the pit of failure. But I emerged with values that redefined my definitions and changed my perspectives, guided my pursuit going forward, and made me the man I am today. Are you ready for the 12 lessons failure taught me? 1. What you focus on counts. Don't focus on what you don't want, or you'll end up where you don't want. 2. Life is not about what we make. It's about what we do with what we make, which either refreshes and elevates us or depletes and bankrupts us. 3. Hard work is not the key to success. Work smart and be present to enjoy where you are because time waits for no one. 4. Comparison is one of the gravest maladies of our generation. Continuously striving to catch up and get ahead wears us out and leaves us ungrateful and insatiable. 5. Life is not a competition, and comparison is a wearying way to live. Nobody ever meets up and keeps up with the Joneses, and those who try don't know how contentment feels. We get so busy chasing shadows we lose our true selves. We do not like who we are and where we are, not because either is bad, but because it is not as good as the person we would rather be like. Meanwhile, that person is trying to be like the neighbor next door, who does not realize they are wasting what we are wanting. Thus, the circle weaves around us, cynic and vicious, sweeping us along this unattainable cycle of consumption, depreciation, and ingratitude. 6. There will always be someone ahead no matter how hard you work. There will always be someone behind no matter how slow you crawl. Life is for living, not for competing or comparing. The attempt to reduce living to competition and comparison will leave us in constant contention, pressured and unsatisfied. The grass will always look greener across. If we are not content with where we are, we will spend and be spent trying to cross over, only to get there and realize it is greener farther down. Illusions will keep us chasing and never sated, because no matter how fast we run, someone is always ahead. 7. We will all never weigh the same, admire others, but nothing healthy comes from comparison because we are not the same. We are not operating under the same conditions, no matter how similar. Focus on your own journey and let others be. 8. You must make the choice every day to appreciate the gift of life that people like you and I lose every day. To appreciate what you have that so many are hoping for right now. Whatever you don't appreciate while you have it, you will wish for when you lose it. 9. We are all unique and gifted differently. Instead of comparing yourself to others, strive to be a better version of you. 10. The secret to an enjoyable and sustainable success is to learn contentment with who you are, what you have, and where you are right now. Then growth will happen naturally. 11. Life is a present to be enjoyed in present times Accept who you are, enjoy where you are, celebrate little accomplishments, and you will attract greater goals. 12. Gratitude for where you are, no matter how unpleasant it seems in comparison to your desire, is an elevator you must choose to board every day. Being alive is the greatest privilege. Add hope and gratitude to that, and the journey of life will be easier and less stressful. Most often, we are stalled not by life but by our definition of life and interpretations of its events. When our definitions of success and failure is flawed, or we are pursuing the good in the wrong path, satisfaction will not be waiting at the end of that road for us until we change our perspective and our approach. And guess what? Even when we actually do fail, failure is never a final verdict except you deem it so. Otherwise, it means try again, maybe another way to learn something new. Learning builds experience, and experience promotes expertise that leads to sustainable success. Listen, a wise person learns not from experience but from history. Those who wait for experience to teach them pay dearly for lessons they could have cheaply picked up from others. Don't wait for failure to show you the way to success. If you can learn from me and others who have gone ahead, you won't be starting from scratch, and your journey will be easier. I hope the hard lessons of my life makes yours easier. Feel free to comment below and to share this with family and friends. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the button so you're notified every Monday as I share life lessons from Sage, my friend.